What's up, world? It's your boy, Mike Muse. Welcome to the Conversation of Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversation with my next guest. I have been dying to be in conversation with him for so long. Even before I knew I wanted to do the work that I'm doing, I loved him in the Goonies. And when he was promoting his film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, I said, the only person I wanted was him. And finally, he is here at the Mike Muse Show to promote his new film, Love Hurts. And come on, I have the honor right now to introduce Academy Award-winning Huy Quan.
Wow.
What's up, my guy?
Thank you, Mike. What a lovely introduction.
Bro, I fell in love with you since the Goonies days. Like, I was a young kid. I wanted to be you. I'm a big geek at heart. Although my background is like engineering, all tech stuff. And so I've always wanted since a little kid, and you were that guy for me on the Goonies, bro.
Yeah. Thank you. It's so wonderful. You know, we meet a lot of Goonies fans.
Yeah.
And what's really nice is to see, how much they love the movie, and also how much that movie impacted their childhood. You know, I recently saw Josh Brolin reunited my fellow Goonies brother like Corey and Jeff and Carrie and everybody and Sean, and we talk about how no matter what we do, people oftentimes go right back to the Goonies.
Yeah. I mean, because what you did for, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone else, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about the Goonies. I know you've lived a full life since then, and you have other things that you're here to talk about, but it was such a specific movie for me because it helped me with imagination. You saw the Times cartoons, you saw animation, but there was a part of me as a young kid who that wasn't real. There was something about Goonies that opened up my idea for a sense of discovery. And I think that is what, for me, that film did, and what your character did, too, as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And again, that's what's so brilliant about Spielberg's story, about these, misfits and go on to this adventure. And also that screenplay of Chris Columbus. Yeah. Was incredible.
And finding treasure. There was all this fantasy about finding hidden treasures. Yeah. But again, you guys made it seem so realistic.
Yeah, it was fun. One, realistic is because we built those sets. They were all practical. Yeah. And also Dick Donner's incredible direction, allowing us to just be kids. And I think you touched upon it earlier. What's really amazing is that it allowed the kids to dream, to imagine, to fantasize, and go on. I mean, come on, as a kid, fantasizing about finding a treasure map,
bro,
and going down water slides.
Yes.
And discovering, a pirate ship,
yes,
buried somewhere with buried treasures.
Booby trap.
Yeah. You say booby, I say booty.
Yo, you did it! I can't believe you did it. I wasn't even trying. Did I just do a scene with you?
Yeah, but you see
I think I just did a scene with you just now. Yeah. My day has been made, bro. You know what's been really great with you is that, and I think some child stars who have done iconic movies when they were young, sometimes you see them stuck as that. With you, I know you were a part of the Goonies, but I don't see you as Goonie when I see you. I still see you as your whole self, as an individual who has went on to do other things. How have you been able to do that dance and that balance? Because that's rare, right? Like, I do see you as doing other things too as well, not just solely as the Goonie.
Well, first of all, you're very generous, Mike. Yeah. For many years before I had this comeback, last couple of years has been incredible. But for a long time, everywhere I go, people would just talk about Indiana Jones and the Goonies. And again, I feel very lucky and grateful to be a part of those two movies. But if those, I did those movies when I was like 12 and 13 and 14. And if that's all people talk about is the work that you did as a child, for a long time it was kind of like a bittersweet moment for me. Because it also made me realize, oh wow, my entire adult life, I have not done anything that people felt interested in talking about. And I think what has happened since Everything Everywhere All at Once came out, and also being really lucky to be able to join the MCU universe, now I'm very open and very happy. Not that I wasn't before, but the feeling is very different. Knowing that I have done work as an adult that I'm very proud of, that also people recognize and appreciate. And now to talking about those two movies, it's a different feeling now.
Yeah. Were you frustrated during that time period? Not frustrated in where you were personally as what you knew your success was, but were you frustrated that others couldn't see you as this evolved person?
Not that I don't think I was frustrated. I think I was more frustrated not with people but with myself, because I wasn't I wasn't having the success that I wanted. I started really young, and success came very easy. And then as I got older, I think it would continue. So I think it was just, and also, desperately trying to do work that people would know me for, instead of, only those two movies. So that was the struggle that I was going through.
I think so many people in life can relate to that, not just to those who are famous or public figures and those who are in Hollywood, but I think everyone, if you were always being rewarded on your job as being this incredible employee, right? And you're getting employee of the month every month, right? Then you get employee of the year, salesperson of the year, and then that job is no longer there. That is your identity, and then the applause stops.
Right.
And then who do you become when the applause stops?
And then the question you keep asking yourself is, are your better days over? That's what's hard is, even though you feel like you have a lot more to offer, and you hope that you get there and you can show people that, there's more. And that was the question that I had on my mind all those years.
That almost becomes frightening, not frustrating then.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of things. It was disappointment, frustration, fear, definitely, and also just like constantly thinking, is this it? And that's the reason why when I was 49 years old, and I said, God, there's got to be more. And the day that I decided to be an actor again, not knowing that decision was going to lead to all of this. How incredible is that, huh?
What was that lead up to make that decision? Because there's so many people out there on the fence on things.
Yeah.
There are people who have a family to feed, right? Who feel like their better days are over and they maybe reach the max of their earning capabilities, right? Or they reach the max of where they can go into their jobs, right? So like for you to say, "And my better days over," what was it about that day when you said, I still have more? There's still more to give. There's still more for me to do.
Well, first of all, it wasn't easy to arrive at that decision. But it was really, I think it has a lot to do with my wife and her unwavering belief that I will one day enjoy success again. And I certainly had periods where, that hope was sliding away, and having her there, and I guess not wanting, hoping that I won't disappoint her one day and say you're wrong. But it was the hope that, what, I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully you're right. And of course, ever since I won the Oscar, she hasn't said it yet, but I think she's thinking, I told you so.
Yeah.
And that makes me very proud. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
For the idea of what your wife said, who believed in you that one day you will have success again.
Yeah.
And I think that is what the definition of having people in your corner root for you, right? And the importance of allies or partners or a friend or a loved one to believe in people, right? And to remind them of their best is yet to come.
Yeah. And you know what I realized is that doing it for yourself is a big motivation for you to try to achieve success. But when you have people that really believe in you and you love them so much, and it is not wanting to disappoint them. It's even a greater motivation for you to not give up. And that's what it was for me, because of my family, my wife, and I want them. It's the constant, I guess, need or whatever you want to call it, to one day hope to make them proud again.
That's the North Star.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that we all need a guiding light. Like we all need a guiding moment and a guiding principle of our Constitution that's going to lead us down the right path. And I'm also too a believer in that you have to have an ally. And I think it's hard to walk this world alone. I've been having a lot of conversations with a personal friend of mine about loneliness. They feel alone. And I think there is so many people in society today feel alone. And I think sometimes when people feel alone, it's hard for them to find that North Star. Right. And I think it's important that we recognize those who feel alone. Yeah.
Definitely.
I didn't expect to go here, Key. This is very beautiful.
I was not. Yeah, I didn't know what kind of conversation be having, but I
think that's who you are, right? I think that's the energy, and I think that really is the story, of you. And to go off that, I don't want to talk about everything all at once, but just talk to me about that moment you decided to go out for their role again, because just to buttonhole this conversation, really for those audience members who are feeling alone or feeling there's nothing left, that they've hit that ceiling, what was it that said, let me go out for this role?
Oh, it's not this. I didn't go out for. I didn't know this role existed. When I became an actor again, it was literally 2 weeks later. I got a call about the audition for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and not thinking I would ever get it. And honestly, now that I have more time to reflect and to look back, how crazy that entire journey has been, I keep going back to to what Steven Spielberg once said, is that intuition never shouts, they whisper, and if you just listen to it, and in those in those the quietness of the night, if you pay attention to your intuition, you'll know what you need to do. And for me, that was it. That's what it was. And it was just this in the very beginning was like this whisper of, you should be an actor again. You should give this another try, and that's when everything just came together. And of course, I was an actor for many years, and to think that I would get another chance at this was not. I just wanted to, honestly, I told my agent, I said, if you can get me a series regular job on a television, that's all I want. Never anticipated this incredible Everything Everywhere All at Once journey.
Just so you know, I think I needed this interview today, didn't even realize it. You're speaking a lot into this unsettledness that I feel personally in my life right now. And it's about settling and listening to that intuition, right? And the quiet part to kind of help be your Northern Star. So thank you for this conversation today. I really needed to hear it. And I'm sure if I needed to hear it, there's going to be an audience going to need to hear this too as well. So thank you for the gift that you are bringing already into this conversation. And for me, I think it illuminates exactly your role in the movie that audience is actually here to promote.
Love Hurts.
Yeah, Love Hurts.
I always wanted my own Valentine's action movie.
Yeah.
Here we are. Yeah.
That is crazy, and you got it. And I got to be honest, Key, if I can be really honest, when I first saw, and my audience knows this, and I say this all the time, is that I never look at a trailer, I never look at the synopsis. I kind of go in with a blank slate so I can just receive, what the film is trying to tell me. And in the first 5 minutes, Key, I was like, I'm not going to like this. I was like, this is going to be super cheesy, super quirky. I was disappointed in you, Key, for even doing this role. I was like, what is he doing? My guy is just going down a path. Like, what is he doing? And the 6th minute, I was like, oh my God. I'm glad he did this role. And you took me on a journey for about 90 plus minutes, maybe. And there's something about the storytelling and the action sequence for me that showed the range of your ability to be an actor, because sometimes action scenes are just boring to me. If I can be honest, I'm sure a lot of people love them, but for me, it's predictable. After a while, it becomes, okay, I get it. Somebody's about to die or somebody's getting injured. Let's just get to that part so we can move the plot along. But there was something about the action here that was actually the story itself, and your moves were actually telling the story.
That was by design. I love this genre. And I've seen a lot of action movies over the years. And just like you said, if a fight sequence, no matter how big or great or a spectacle it is, it gets boring after a while, because it's just punches and kicks over and over again. I learned very early on, and I was taught that every fight needs to have a narrative, and if you design the fight well, it should also tell you about that character. Let me give you an example. The kitchen fight with Marshawn Lynch and Andre Erickson. In the script, it just says, two assassins go in and beat the shit out of Marvin Gable. And as our action team were designing the fights, and they're great, but something was missing for me. Because again, that it didn't have a narrative. And preceding that is when Marvin Gable gets that certificate from his mentor, Cliff. And that certificate means the world to him, because it's a validation of who he is in the present day versus who he was in the past. He knows he was a monster before, and he's looking for redemption, and he's looking for a second chance. And that certificate was that. And I said, the fight needs to be about him holding on to that certificate. And once when we have that narrative, then the fight became way more interesting. And if you watch the movie, it's about the entire fight. Here are these two badass beating the shit out of him, and he's taking, punches after punches after punches, and yet all he cares about was holding on to that certificate. And it's a scene that I'm very proud. It tells a story. It tells who Marvin Gable is. And yeah, that's
my favorite part of the movie. And for me, I think that captures what a great thespian that you are. Because audience, Key is getting his ass kicked. But I love that, one, you do a couple things. In this scene, you're showing that you're a great action actor, right? Great fight sequences. And then you're a warrior in it. But then all of a sudden, you're able to break from that warrior mindset and character mode and grab onto something. And the whole time, I kept asking myself as an audience member, what is it about this certificate, right? Because there was such great moments where you actually froze the fight scenes just to even a split second, look at the certificate with like reverence that you gave it, right? And then you go back to the action, right? And then you go back to the certificate with reverence. And the whole time I was questioning what was the meaning of a certificate. And after that scene, I never looked away from a fight sequence after that.
Wow, thank you. And also, we had our premiere in Los Angeles at the TCL Chinese Theater, and afterwards, so many people came up to me and said, "Wow, this is a really fun movie." I grew up, loving those movies from the 80s where, they're just 90 minutes long, and they're fun to watch. They don't ask much in return. And it's one of those movies where it's a perfect date movie, or it's a perfect movie where, you go and have, a good time with your friends, and hopefully after you see it, you come out feeling a little refreshed. And that's what we were aiming for when we were making this movie. And also another thing was that to make sure, we're doing all the fights ourselves. Yeah. I grew up loving, those incredible Hong Kong action movies from the early 80s. And this is kind of like, that's what we were trying to emulate. Can
you talk to me a little bit more about that? Let's lean into that, because I know a lot of my audience members are into action fights and into car chases, but I'm not. But because for what I've already said, it just gets boring after a while. But there was something about the way that the fight scenes were constructed so well. Talk to us about how you guys approached the dynamic of the fight scenes.
Well, it's a very challenging process. We have an incredible action team, and also our director, Jojo Eusebio, is a veteran. And this is his first time in the director's chair. He's been a second unit director for many years.
I wouldn't have imagined that.
Yeah, and it all starts. I mean, the whole process starts with looking at the script and what is this scene about, and what are we trying to say, and again, we've seen. Over the years, many action movies, many fight sequences. So how can we make it more different? And that is the most challenging part. In this movie, for example, I'm quite proud that we made a boba straw a lethal weapon or a cookie cutter. So there's something fresh about this. And I think the biggest part is that you need to have for me at least, and that's how I was taught, is that you have to have the audience emotionally involved. If you care about the characters, then they will go along for the ride, and it'll be a fun ride. But if they don't, then you just lose them.
Was there a particular decision point that was made specifically about your fellow real estate competitor who was a black belt in karate, who felt that he could join into a fight of someone of your skill set? Was that a reason you guys chose to do that?
Well, firstly, he's I love Drew Scott.
Yeah.
He's great in this movie. He's a friend of our producer, Kelly McCormick and Dave Leach. He's a big renovation guy. His show is incredible. And I think he actually helped renovate it. 87 North headquarters. And so when we were prepping for this movie, they said, wouldn't it be great if he had a couple of scenes in this? Yeah. And I love his character, and he's so good. He's a Taekwondo black belt. Wow. And that man is like 6'5", so quite scary. And also what I love about his character and what Marvin Gable looks at him in the beginning is very much it's a lot of times it's very human nature. He thinks and he accuses this guy of ruining his real estate signs, and he ended up being a really good guy and very heroic too, honestly. But of course, this movie is meant to be funny. Yeah. It's meant to entertain.
What I loved about that, what I was gathering from that in the scene was more like the satirical nature of anyone who's ever taken a karate class, right? Who then watches a movie, who thinks that they can apply what they've learned in their karate classes to what happened in a movie, and it doesn't end well for them. Right?
Well, that's I mean, of course.
So I saw the satirical element to it.
Yeah, but then also a lot of people who study martial arts and they're really badass on the streets as well too. Yeah. But that's not what this movie is about. It's about having a good time and entertaining people.
Take me on the human journey of Marvin, right? And so the reason I love movies is because I think as people in society, we can relate, to characters and what our characters are going through. And what I found so interesting about your character is just going on this natural human journey of shedding your past, wanting a different future, but the past seems to have a stronghold on you. And how does your character reconcile that?
Well, first of all, what I love about Marvin Gable is that he understands his own flaw. He recognizes that what he's done in the past is horrible, it's despicable. And accepting that, and then also trying to be a better person. You see him really. That's why out of all the profession, he chose to be a real estate agent. He destroyed so many homes in the past, and now all he wants is to help people's dream of owning a home come true. So that's what I love about him. And he's the. Another thing too is I love the element of surprise. Someone that looks like Marvin, that acts like Marvin Gable. And you think, he's just this like cute, mild-mannered, affable guy, that you can easily mess around with.
Yeah.
And when you see that, when you push him to his limits, he's really badass. And I think that's, it's kind of like a mirror to our real life.
Yeah. I don't want to give away the ending, but I do want to talk about something that you and I just talked about in the beginning of our conversation, was about the North Star. I'm just curious, do you think your past can inform the person you can become? Because I feel like that's kind of what happened with Marvin.
The past can inform the person you become. I don't think you can. I don't think you can see where you're going. Honestly, when I was younger, I mean, I didn't know what my future looked like. But what I can say is that if you look at who you are today, it's the entire journey that who makes you are today. Honestly, I don't think I would be who I am today had I not, one, started really successful at 12 years old and star in really 2 worldwide, famous, iconic movies, and then realizing that, life isn't that easy. I was very lucky, and then struggled for many years, and to be able to enjoy the success today, then you understand how lucky you are, and then you approach everything with a new sense of gratitude. And that's what I try to bring every time I walk on a movie set. And for this movie, especially being the number 1 on the call sheet, and never having that opportunity before, and I understand. I understand the responsibility. I understand the pressure, and also I understand what it means to make sure that when you work on a movie like this, how everybody looks to you to set the tone, and also it is your job to make sure that they feel welcome and loved, and that you can make sure that they are happy doing what they love, and also they feel important. And again, this is not. I mean, that's not who I am. I learned it from all those incredible actors that I got the good fortune to work with, and seeing how they carry themselves and how they treat other people, and then now having this incredible opportunity, I go, you know what? I remember how he made me feel. So I felt great because I felt important and seen and loved, and now I want other people to feel the same.
I couldn't think of a better way to end this interview than on that note. Heavy's a head that wears a crown, and the awesome responsibility that comes with it. And you answered my question by saying your past can't inform your future, but your past can inform your present. And thank you so much for everything you bring to the screen and to life, and the life lessons that you just taught us here in this conversation. And
not taught. Yeah. I don't think I'm capable or qualified to teach anybody anything, but share would be a good word. Yeah.
You know what? Everyone has a perspective in how they view it, right? I feel like I learned from you. And so if I learned from you
You're very
today,
sweet. Thank
that
you.
means that you taught me. But I'll accept you by saying share. But thank you for that. Audience, please make sure you go see Love Hurts, because you won't regret the 90 plus minutes that you're there. It's incredible in the way that these action scenes are done. They're like nothing I've ever seen before, in a way that action can tell the story. And I did not know this was your first time being the number 1 on the call sheet. So congratulations to you, my guy. That is huge. I hope you'll come back to the Mike Muse Show again. We have so much more to talk about and unpack.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, until next time, folks.
Peace.